Hi there, it's Karen here, and I'm doing this photo today of my daughter and her partner, and using this collection. It's the Coco Vanilla's Bohemian Dream collection. Beautiful papers here, and I'm just going through them, seeing which ones I think will go best with the photograph. They're all gorgeous, and but I settle on this dark blue, sort of purpley bluey background, which is gorgeous. And I had this pack of washi tapes, some coordinating washi tapes I bought separately, but they went so beautifully with this collection. I thought I really have to use them, so I decided to just lay down some strips of the washi. So it's in these colours of purples and turquoise, and there's some florals and stripes. It's just a collection of a washi that just I bought as a set. But it went so well with this collection, it could have been made for it. That's a glittery tealy colour, it's beautiful. And the final piece, so this is a little purpley stripe, and then I already had this silver and white diagonal stripe in my stash as well, so that went with it really well. So I went, put them down one side, and then it's creating a bit of an L shape. So I'm putting the same tapes along the bottom, in the same order, and then I'm going to build up my photo cluster with the background in that corner. So I'm using this lilac tissue paper first of all as my first layer. I quite like a bit of tissue paper, especially when it's a page about that's about love, I suppose, in a way, and it just gives it that soft look around the edges. And then I decided to look at these. These are really good, these cut aparts, but they're cut aparts that make useful for backgrounds. I'm not using the sunset colour, I'm using the back of the paper, which has got that purple diamonds, and that again really went well with the rest of the layout. So I quite like that side of it, although the other cut aparts are all in the right colours, but I didn't want to use that bright yellow and pink because that just wasn't going to go, so I used this side. So I'm just cutting it down so it goes behind there, and then now I'm going to do a little bit of mixed media. First of all, I'm doing a little bit of this. This is the Amethyst Heidi Swap colour shine, the dark purpley colour, and I'm mixing it with this pot of, it's called glass beads. It's like a texture paste, but with little beads in it. So when you lay it down on a stencil, it gives it, and it dries, it's got a little sparkly effect. I've used it a few times before. It's just a little bit different, and it makes a really nice effect. So I thought I'd use that, mix it with the purple to go with the rest of the colours on the page. And this is a stencil that a friend of mine gave me at a recent retreat that I went to. And she very kindly gave me that stencil and a couple of other bits. So I thought I'd use it. It's just it's like a set of leaves or little florally sprigs. It's more stylised, I suppose. But I just thought I'd use one side, and it just gives me a little row of random spots that I thought would go quite well up the side with the washi tape. I'm just working my way up to the end there. You have to be quite careful when you peel this off because it can smudge really easily. It's quite thick. You see there's a little row of spots along the side, and then I've done the same along the bottom to match again as I've done with the washi tape. So it goes along the side, along the edge of the washi tape there, and peel that off. Now I've had to put that aside to dry. So in the meantime, while that's drying, I think I want another layer for my photos, and I picked the other 4x6 cut apart piece, which has got the right colour combination on it. I thought that's really pretty colours with the turquoise and the purples. Two of my favourite colours to scrapbook with, and so few collections have had purple in the past, so that does seem to be coming through this year a lot more. I'm going to use these, they're called round the page punches from Martha Stewart. So you just do the corner, and then you just punch along the side, and then I'm just going to punch along the top. So I'm not going to do it all the way around. I just want to give it a pretty edge to the photograph. I'll poke out either side, at the top and at the side there. Didn't need to be all the way around, because I don't think the card isn't really big enough to show on both sides anyway. So it's just enough just to have a little fancy edge sticking out from behind the photo. I'm just going to trim that down. Here we are. I'm thinking about putting a doily behind it, but now that I've got that backing, the doily is a bit lost. So I do come up with another solution a little bit later on. But I know I want some sort of doily behind there. But I'll come up with my own version. So trying it on with that doily, and the doily is just not big enough, basically. Now that I've got the photo backed with that nice cut out. So what I've done is I've printed off cut out some doilies on my silhouette. Most of them actually are still the similar size to the one I already had, but there was one that I cut out that I made a bit bigger, and that is just perfect, and I really like that. So I'm really pleased with that. I've got a nice little selection of unusual different doilies there for another layout as well, for later layouts. So I stuck that to the back of my photos, and that just gives it a nice bit of the white really stands out against the backing because the colours are all very similar. But putting that bit of white, the white doily behind it, just makes the photo stand out nicely. So I'm really pleased with that, how that turns out. Right, and then I found in the ephemera pack there was this little frame which I thought looked quite nice, just to frame the couple. But I had to trim it down because I didn't want it to cover up all the layers that I put behind the photo, the tissue and the pretty papers. I didn't want the frame to completely cover those up, so I've just trimmed it down a little bit so you can still see the little bits of lilac tissue poking out from underneath. And I'm just going to stick that to the photograph there. This photo was taken when we went to visit them to paint the nursery early in December, and they've since done a lot more work on the nursery, and we're going to go and see it again this weekend. So Jenny was 21 weeks at this stage. She's now 32 weeks, so she's got quite a lot bigger since then. But I did think it was a lovely picture of them. It's in their home, and they're just so happy. And I just like that picture of them, so I thought I'd like to do a layout of it to just record that weekend, that moment. So I cut out these cut parts saying cherished moments, which I wanted to use as a title, but actually the cherished almost disappears because it's the same colour as the background, so I don't end up using that one. I have to find something else to go with the moments. So now I've punched out a couple of hearts. I'm going to make a couple of little heart embellishment clusters. Got the idea from Inky Quill. I get many ideas from Inky Quill, and she does a lot of this where she makes up her own clusters. So I thought I'd have a go doing my own with some heart punches. So that's the largest heart punch, and then I've got about 5 different sizes of heart punches. I just seem to buy every size I could find. So this is so I've cut out the opposite colours in the smaller hearts, and I'm just going to layer them up together. And I'm outlining them as well because I think that looks better. It just shows up a little bit more against the background. And I thought I'd go through the ephemera pack to see if I could find any small bits and pieces that I could put onto my embellishment cluster. But most of the embellishments were a bit too big for going on the hearts. But I thought I'd pick some out to use on the layout as well. So that's why I've got a little pile there of coordinating bits and pieces that I'm going to try and use. I don't use all of them, but I use quite a few. So I've found those 2 little tabs you can see there, and I'm just going to tuck those in behind the photo. And now I'm cutting a banner out of that odd piece that I cut off when I did the punching of the border. The 2 little tabs are saying captured moments. There are many options for titles here. There's plenty of things I could use as the title, but I'll make my mind up right at the end what I'm going to call it. And I have a little pot there with some pre-punched gold and silver glittered hearts. So I don't use them all the time, but I like to have a few there when I need them. So I'm going to put a little silver heart, the next size down, on this big heart. Make the little cluster. And now I'm punching out some butterflies. You see there's a small butterfly and then 2 tiny butterflies, and the 2 tiny butterflies are the ones I'm going to use They just go nicely on that little heart, on the big heart, should I say. Just going to stick it on because they show up nicely in that turquoise, really pretty turquoisey colour. And then I'm going to put a tiny like gemstone in the middle of the butterfly, just to make it sparkle, and another one in the heart. So I'm just building up that cluster in the top left corner on the banner. And then I found this piece in the ephemera pack, and it's not going to go in the corner, but it will go nicely at the bottom left corner of the photo, and that just says "Oh so happy," so that makes sense to use. I'm sorry if you can see the shadow of my head on these on film. I forgot to put my desk lights on as the light was drawing in, because the days are getting lighter, so I hadn't put my lights on, and then I just put my overhead light on and forgot to put the desk lights on for a bit, so you're getting a bit of shadow there, for which I really do apologise. It is a bit distracting. I'm sorry about that, and the colour's a bit strange. So I finished the layout a couple of days after the beginning of it, so the lighting is rather different. So I'm still working on that sort of laying out the cluster at the top, sort of building it up a bit, but now I'm working on the second heart cluster. Again, putting on another little butterfly. And giving that a little, I think that gets a little gemstone as well in the middle. Yeah, there it goes. And I'm going to tuck that in on the side of the photograph there, just above the circle, the turquoise circle. And I'm going to do a little flower cluster around the corner. I've got to use some of these florals. They are just so lovely. So I just thought I'd put a few flowers on the corner of the photograph. I didn't want to overwhelm the photo. I wanted that to really stand out. But I just thought it would take a few photos just on the corner there, and they're just stuck there. And now I'm going to go back to my cluster at top left corner, putting that together. Change the banner around. Instead of having it horizontal, I've decided to make it vertical. Couldn't really decide which way looked best, but I think in the end, I think it works okay like this. And I found on the chipboard sheet, I found a piece of chipboard. I can't say it, saying lovely. So I put lovely with moments, and I've got lovely moments because that stands out better, and it looked better than the one that was on the cut apart sheet, which blended too much into the background. I'm just outlining that banner just to give it a bit more definition. And there's just a couple more of the flowers being tucked in behind that cluster to give it a bit more. It was too angular with just the moment sticking out. I needed to soften it, so I've clustered flowers around it. And there we are. It looks better for me. It looks a little softer. And then I just pop these couple of butterflies from the ephemera pack onto the page. And now I'm adding the date, which was 3rd of December, and I'm going to tuck that in at the bottom. And now I thought I'd better put in the, I wanted to put in that it was 21 weeks, that Jenny was at 21 weeks. And I wanted to put that around the page somewhere. I had a bit of difficulty. I wanted to tuck it in. I didn't want it to sort of stand out in the middle. So I first of all tried doing it on, I tried it at the top. And then I tried it along the side, but it wouldn't stick to the washi on the side. So in the end, I've put it at the top there, just by that leaf sprig, 21 weeks. And that's what I'm going to call the layout, because that's where they are. So thank you very much for joining me. I've really enjoyed this layout. I love these papers and I love these colours, and it was one of my favourite layouts for some considerable time, I think. It all came together with the washi, which I really enjoyed using. I've been wanting to use that for a while as well. So all these elements came together and I really enjoyed it. Just adding a little flare badge just at the end. It's the last finishing touch, and I'm really pleased with it. So thank you for joining me, and do join me again soon and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Bye bye.